what's going on, my fellow listeners? Thank you so much for tuning in here at the NORI Athletics Lifestyle podcast, where we share health and fitness tips so you can develop the proper habits to become the healthiest version of yourself. We also share our lifestyle, current events, and other things we find fun. We are your hosts, Novette Chua and Michelle Petrovich, and in this episode number 3, we dive into why people can't seem to do what they tell themselves to do. They can't seem to be healthy and get out of the couch. We also share the solutions on how to do the opposite, how to be healthy, how to get out of the couch even during this time by using the method called habit stacking. And we also share something fun on Michelle's adventure on making the most amazing bubble tea using the mindset that she developed while making this business. So tune in, have fun, learn something, and enjoy. All right, so welcome to the third episode of NORI Athletics Podcast.
Lifestyle Podcast.
NORI Athletics Lifestyle Podcast. We're your hosts, Novette, Michelle. And today we kind of want to dive in deeper as to why people don't do what they say they're going to do inside their head. So right now we are in quarantine. We're going through this crisis. And yes, we have more time to be healthy, to recreate our lives, so to speak. And
we're finding ourselves not really doing what we say we want to do.
Yeah, so I bet you're experiencing this, because I've experienced this, where in my head I'm like, okay, I should be doing this, I should wake up early, I should go to sleep early, I should be working on my business, or I should be working out, all these things, but you find yourself not doing them, and it results to decreasing your self-esteem, not being confident, not being proud of yourself. And the quickest way you can get away from this is just by sitting down on the couch watching Netflix or just scrolling through social media. Next thing you know, you've done nothing.
Yeah, and then you go into thinking that that's because you don't have discipline or you don't have willpower to do it. But in fact, discipline and willpower don't really exist or aren't what we make them out to be. We make discipline and willpower out to be as these traits, but it's actually you just training yourself into building up your actions, right?
Yeah, and then discipline it's a really good, I think it's a skill that must be developed. It's not just like, I just got to be more disciplined and then all of a sudden you're disciplined, right? You have to train this. It's like a muscle. You have to...
But it's you training it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's actually just you training the habits that make you disciplined, right? Or you having the ability to know how to train those habits. I think that's what discipline really is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then willpower, there's really no such thing as willpower. Because people make willpower out to be as you have the strength to, do what you set your mind to. But in reality, we don't necessarily have that strength. It's about having the knowledge to know how to build what you're trying to build.
Well, I think there is such thing as a willpower. There is. But it's limited. You can't be using willpower all the time. Let's say, I don't know if whoever's listening if you ever tried a diet, the very first time you've done it, yes, you're very motivated, your willpower is through the roof, right? You can push through the last 2 months of it, right? But then it dies out.
Mm-hmm.
You'll probably reach your goal, and the reason why you can't maintain it is because you don't have willpower anymore. And each time you try to go on another diet, the willpower decreases and decreases and decreases, and then what ends up happening is you just can't do it anymore. You can't pull it off. No matter if I do it, excuse me, I'm kind of gassed right now. If I do it this way, if I do it that way, yes, I'll get the results, but you just don't have the willpower to do it, right? You just run out of it. So I think there is willpower, but it's not, you have to use it wisely. You'll only have a certain amount.
Yeah, you can't rely on that
to
push you forward.
Exactly.
Yeah, so what we have found, and this is why we focus on this with our clients, is that it's actually just our habits, right? Our habits, building habits, new ones and old ones, and strengthening old ones. If you want to be healthy, or let's say you want to be productive and you want to keep working, there are habits around that that create you in a person that you want to be.
Yeah.
Right? Like every person is a collection of habits. And if you want to be, let's say you want to be active and you want to keep working out, people achieve that and achieve that consistency by practice and by repeating it and doing it over and over again before it becomes natural.
That's right. Like if you want to be, see, like there's certain types of people. There's a reason why athletes are athletes. There's a reason why successful business like people are successful. There's a reason why someone is good at programming or someone is good at something, because they have a collection of habits that they've put together, and that's what creates who they are, right? So like think about, I don't know, a Navy SEAL. If you think about a Navy SEAL's habits and what he does on a day-to-day basis, it's intense, right? But that's what makes him who he is, and what makes a person lazy or what makes a person, I don't know, be unhealthy is because the habits that they've collected. So if you want to be healthy, a certain type of person, you got to find what the habits are, and you got to start working on those, developing on those, and then eventually you'll turn into that person that you're striving to be.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you're trying to, let's say there's a habit that you're trying to build, what do you think is like, I guess, the next step for them to take? Like if there's a habit that they're struggling to build, what do you think they should do?
Well, versus you gotta try and develop the habit, but there's a certain way you gotta do it, right? You probably have heard, it takes, I don't know, 14 days, 7 days, a month, 60 days to develop a habit. But what if you can't even do it the first day? So how are you gonna develop that habit? Right. So we were reading a book called The Power of Habits by what's his name?
His name is
we're googling this real
Charles
quick.
Duhigg.
Charles Duhigg. So we were reading his book, and he said that when it comes to developing habits, there is a certain cycle, a certain
routine, I guess.
Step method to do it. So for most habits, there is a trigger, there is a routine, and then there is a reward. Think about the last time you maybe you wanted to check something on your phone, like your calendar, or I don't know, just delete some pictures or your email, but you go to your phone and you go directly to social media, Instagram, and then you just scroll, and then you kind of catch yourself like, what the heck am I doing here, and just scrolling. This wasn't what I planned to do. But you did it. It's because it was a habit. There's a trigger. The trigger was picking up your phone, and then the action is, or the routine is, going through social media, and the reward is seeing social media. And that's one of the reasons why, like, you just can't help it.
No, I want to side note this, is that habits are actually your neurons connecting. So your habits are neurons that have connected, and there's habits. The reason why we keep some habits and let go of some habits is that some have been with us for a very long time, and we age with those habits, right? We age with those neuron connections, and some we're not strong enough and they are let go of because our brain can only have so much capacity to maintain these connections.
Yeah.
So habits are actually not just something like on the exterior. It actually happens in our mind. I want you guys to know that.
Yeah, in your brain, you physically create new neurons.
Neuron connections
to these actions, and then when those neurons are strong enough, it becomes easier. It's like driving.
So this is actually called, if you guys want to look into it more, it's called synaptic pruning, and it's spoken about in Atomic Habits by James Clear. So this is another book that I actually want to read after this book. But he says that as we age, our brains prune away connections, which are synapses, between neurons that don't get used. So this is what I mean. Like, we let go of some habits, but some of them are maintained.
Yeah.
And then what Novette's talking about, having a trigger, a routine, and a reward, right, is that they're saying that for you to develop a habit, it's good to pair one of those new habits, attach it to a habit that you already have that you do really easily.
Mm-hmm.
And this method is called sticking or habit stacking.
Do you want to give an example of habit stacking?
Yeah. So one thing that I do really, really well is I do my bed in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And a habit that I wanted to build in the morning now was to also meditate in the morning, because I've been struggling with that for a long time. So now, from now on, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to fold my bed and then I'm just going to meditate right after. And so that there is habit stacking. And then to make that even stronger and to make that habit get built up even faster, I'm going to use a reward system. And my reward is going to be having coffee.
Yes, that's right.
Because some habits, this is why fitness and nutrition is so hard.
Yeah.
Is because these habits, there's not a direct reward right away.
Yeah, you can't see the reward right away. It's not like you do a workout and then all of a sudden you see a six-pack or you see your glutes build, you know?
Yeah, some people feel really rewarded after. Like I've had clients tell me like, oh, like my mind's really clear, or I'm really happy after. So to me, that's a reward, and that's why I keep doing it.
Yes.
Right? And that's why exercise gets addicting. Mm-hmm. But to some, it's not the case, right? So if you're struggling with working out, that's obviously not the case for you. So you have to find a reward for that habit.
Yeah, that's why there's reasons why like when we used to work at the gym, we see the same members going on the same machine every single day, and they just do it like for years, and I just couldn't like fathom how they could do that. Like, how could you like go for the rest of your life just go on a machine and sweating, right? And it's because it has become a habit for them, and they believe that it's what's gonna get them to where they want to be. So now that I'm thinking about this, is there was this one member, right, and he was like, I've seen him ever since I started going to the gym, like even before I was a trainer. Like I've seen him on the same I think it was a step master, and he would have like his iPad with him, and he would like cover the machines with towels because he knows he's gonna sweat a lot, and he's been doing it for like, I don't know how long I've been training, maybe like I'm gonna say like 8 years. He's been doing it for years, and I'm like, how could this guy do this? And then I'm thinking like, okay, maybe he's got a trigger obviously, like to get him to do it, and then his routine, you know, just doing it, the action, and I think the reward for him is just like the sweat, just like a lot of sweat. I think this is how like most, I guess fitness freaks are able to like work out once, twice a day, consistently, is because I think the sweat for them is the reward. It's like if they can see themselves sweat, it's like, yeah, they've done right.
But I think even too, like because this person was older,
yeah,
right? I think it's just so habitual to him. It's like doing that for him is like brushing teeth.
Yeah.
You know, I think over time, this is why it's so important to pay attention to what habits we have. Mm-hmm. Because if we have habits that are hurting us, I feel that with age, it only gets more difficult to replace them with other habits.
That's right.
Right? But I do want to let you know, I read this actually just yesterday, that you can replace habits, and you can use the same trigger that you have for your old habits, but then be triggered by that, in that same sense, be triggered to do something new instead that will replace your old ones. And because these old habits are so strong and been there for you for a while, they still fire in your mind, which is so interesting. Like those neurons fire, that part of the brain still fires of the old habits.
Yeah.
But it's not as strong as the new one that you build.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. Like let's say you're smoking and that's a habit you want to get rid of. It is difficult to get rid of that trigger that makes you smoke, but you can replace it. Exactly.
It's kind of like I don't know, when you put like a bike in your shed or in your attic, or like somewhere you don't go to in your household, and then you're like, oh look, it's a bike and it's old, it's rusty, but you can definitely like put some oil in it, maybe change the chains and the tires, and it could be like as good as new. That's the same with like old habits. Like it's just a weak neuron in your brain, but it can still be fired up if you're not replacing it.
Yeah. And so if you're trying to be consistent with a habit, let's say you're really struggling with your nutrition lately because you're home. This is what I was just talking to a client about, is that you want to pick something that you do really easily, right? So start off by creating wins in the morning, and start with this in the morning, especially for nutrition. I think nutrition you have to start with right in the morning.
Yeah.
Like you can't just be like, oh, you eat shitty in the morning and then you eat well for lunch.
Yeah.
This is something you do want to start with in the morning. So let's say your routine in the morning is to brush your teeth before you eat. So you're going to brush your teeth, and then you're going to eat some whole meal that has protein, that has your veg, like get in a good amount of like nutrients and macronutrients.
Yeah.
And then you're going to reward yourself after with a cup of coffee if you have coffee in the morning, or like tea.
That's right.
And this is how you're going to instill your mind to constantly repeat eating a good, healthy breakfast.
Yeah. And then why do we say that it's like you should do it right off the bat and not just like, okay, I'll just do it later? Two things, like that's procrastination. You don't want to enforce that. And that's also another neuron in your head, like you're teaching yourself how to procrastinate. And number two is there's something about conquering your morning, and how if you're able to conquer your morning, you'll be able to conquer your whole day. It's just, that's what I find. Like you just feel so empowered in the morning. But if you wake up and you start your morning with like just being vanilla and just being average and not doing what you're supposed to do, that's usually how your day is going to dictate.
Yeah, it's so true. You want to create those wins. Wins are super important when it comes to building any habits, even in your career or business, not just for fitness. Like, you need wins to keep going.
Yeah.
Right? And you can create small wins. They don't have to be huge wins. And those small wins add up and make you constantly repeat those good actions. I think one of the new habits, I guess, that we've been building is just going for longer walks.
Yeah.
Longer walks with Nori.
Yeah, just going for longer walks. Like yesterday we went for a longer walk.
We're probably going to do one later today.
Yeah. Because I was thinking about, like, okay, I really want to lose a little bit of weight too. Maybe I should just start doing some sprints, or maybe I should start running again, or maybe I should just work out twice a day. And when I think about that, I'm like, I don't think I can keep that consistently. Yeah, in my head, I'm like, what's the easiest thing? What's the thing that I can be efficient at? And that's going for walks. And I'm like, I ask myself, like, can I do this for the next 30 to 90 days or even for the rest of my life? And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. I can go for walks. We already take Nori out for to go poop and pee. Like, might as well just go walk. See, that's another thing. That's another habit that we do. We're just taking him out just so he can go poop and pee. I like saying that, poop and pee, It's a poop and pee session. Okay, we're going to take Nori out for poop and pee. And then we just add that with a walk. We're already outside.
Yeah.
It's like, might as well just go for a walk. And the cool thing about walking is you tell yourself that you're only going to do it for 5, 10, 15 minutes. But you end up walking for longer. It's so weird how you do that.
Yeah.
And that also, I want to kind of jump into how to set goals when it comes to building habits. You want to be able to do it in a way where if you ask yourself, can I do it forever, or can I do it for the next 90 days without pushing myself, without having to argue with myself? And then if the answer is yes, and that's the right thing. But if you start going okay, I'm going to start working out every single day. If you let's say this person is not working out at all, and they're like, I'm going to start working out every single day. I'm going to eat salads every single day. I'm going to eat chicken breast, blah, 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 blah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah. It's
just straight up.
It's just hard. Maybe in the beginning, the
first week or two.
Yeah, when your willpower is up, but eventually it's going to die out. And I'm sure a lot of you guys that are listening to this, that has happened to you. So it has to be something that you're capable of. And then you build from that.
Yeah. So it's stacking. That's also stacking.
Yeah.
That goes back to the roots of it all, is just stacking your habits into something new.
Yeah. Let's say you go for a walk. It's like, hey, I'm already going for a walk. Let's try a jog, and then the jog will be like, okay, I'm jogging, let's go for a run, and then the running will eventually turn into sprinting, and that sprinting can be like, oh wow, my legs are pumped, and maybe you should do some squats, and then next thing you know, you're weight training, you're like resistance training, your body becomes stronger, you start doing planks and stuff.
Isn't that so interesting?
Yeah.
It's like I just had a little light bulb right there. It's just like the way we progress our clients, it's actually just like us advancing their habits.
Exactly.
Basically. Just consistently advancing your habits to move forward. Oh, so cool.
That's
so
all
cool.
it is. You can't, if you want to be like, I don't know, if you want to have a body of like a bodybuilder or a Navy SEAL or someone great, someone that's athletic, then you have to, you can't escape the basics. You can't escape the fundamentals, right? If you skip that, yes, you might reach your goal, but it's just going to come crashing down. So you have to have a solid foundation.
Yeah, it's so true. And speaking of like working out, I know like a lot of people are now struggling working out at home just because, it's the same environment, maybe it's not fun. So some of the things that have been helping us is just like being on the classes that we are on. I think that's like made it a lot more fun. And then knowing that we can actually get a good workout at home, like without equipment even. You don't need to spend money to have a good workout at home.
You don't.
It's free. Use this opportunity. I think you mentioned this earlier too, is that we were in the best shapes of our lives when we were actually working out at home.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually when I had the most abs. My body was very lean.
She had a lot of abs, yeah. She had the most abs. How many abs did you have, babe?
Oh my god. But yeah, it was when I felt the most confident in my body, oddly, even though after that I had gym access and everything. I liked the way my body looked then. So you really don't need equipment. You don't need to make it fancy, because in reality, if you're looking to do that, thinking that you're going to be more consistent with your workouts, I'm going to tell you right now, you're just wasting your money. Just being frank with you, like you're not, just by adding in equipment, you're not going to, and thinking that you're going to do the workouts, you're not.
That's like...
It's going to sit in your room.
Because if you think about it, buying equipment is the same thing as buying a gym membership. Like, buying a gym membership, you're just buying equipment. That's what it is. You're renting equipment. You're renting a space. That's what a gym membership is. And then for those of you who are not familiar with using equipment, and just think about that time you got a gym membership and you walk in there and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Do I go sit on this machine? Do I do this? I saw it on Instagram. Maybe I should do this. It's the same with, it's almost like a trend right now.
Why is it a female voice? I saw it on Instagram.
Sorry. I
Could
know,
be meant to. I saw it on Instagram.
Yeah, I saw this on Instagram. But usually the people that talk like that, they know what they're doing in the gym. 'Cause I talk like that. I got the giant... I'm just playing. But anyways, it's... Yeah, you buy equipment, you see the trend on social media. It's like, oh, all these people are buying bands, they're buying this. Like, I should get those. And then once you get them, you're like, okay, now what? Now
it's even more overwhelming, and just looking at your equipment makes you stressed out. So you're not even going to want to do it.
Exactly.
That's like the people who get the gym memberships. They go to the gym once, and then after that, they're just paying monthly fees and not actually attending.
And just because you pay for something, even if it's equipment, a gym membership, if it's personal training, if it's online coaching, whatever it may be, if you do not use it, if you do not put in the work, then nothing will happen. Purchasing something will not
make it easier.
Yeah, it will not get you the results you want.
Yes, exactly. So if you don't want to spend money, and we haven't, what are the things that they can do to make their workouts more fun, more effective, and like actually bring them results?
So first is like you gotta have a variety. Like there's unlimited resources on the internet. There's there's Instagram accounts where it's just body weight workouts. So you gotta find those. You could use YouTube. There's like full on workouts.
One of my favorites personally is, her name is Tasha Ocean.
Yeah.
Tasha Ocean. She's really cool. I like her workouts. There was another couple. I forgot their names.
I think it's like Mr. and Mrs. Muscle home workout or something like that.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Muscle. Yeah, those are also really good workouts.
If you guys can check those out, go there. And so about it, and then it's very minimal
There's like,
equipment.
I've heard popped sugar on YouTube, Blogilates on YouTube, like that's for the females out there. There's like so much variety, so variety is important. Okay, we got that.
Variety is important, and making it fun. Like, have some music, play some music there, like whatever makes you move. There's something powerful about having music. Like, even if you just like not even working out, you just hear something in the mall or like outside, you can't help but move, right? So, and it's gonna help you push, like the beat, the buildup of like techno music.
And be
I like
okay, the beat's about to drop, and then when the beat drops, then you start going.
And then you start moving. Yeah, so like you gotta build that environment.
Yeah.
Right.
And then to increase the intensity of their workouts, what can they do?
I usually use an app called I think it was Tabata Timer. It's free. You can set up like your rest periods. You can set up your working periods, right? How many cycles, how many sets you want to do.
There can be like high intensity and low intensity and rest if you want.
And this keeps you accountable, and it helps you not rest for too long, because sometimes you just don't feel fulfilled if your workout is not efficient.
Yeah. Or if you end up like, you're like, okay, I'm going to rest. I'm sweating. I need to catch my breath. And you're on your phone and it's like 6 minutes later, you're like, oh, shit.
And it's a form of tracking. Like, you're tracking your rest time. And once again, it keeps you accountable. And if you feel like you've tracked something and you feel like, okay, I did this workout for like 20 minutes. It's 20 minutes because you've had a timer. But if you don't, you do a workout and it takes you an hour. Like, sometimes you can even take a workout that takes you an hour and compress it to 20 minutes to half an hour with a timer.
Yeah. And then another thing I want to emphasize is tempo. So if you're just using body weight, tempo is huge when it comes to challenging yourself. And you can make an easy push-up feel difficult. You can make easy squats feel difficult just by the way that you do them. So like slowing the exercise down, adding in pulses, adding in pause. Like, those are all the ways that you can get an increased amount of blood flow in that muscle group that you're trying to work. And trust me, it can get challenging.
That's right. Different variations of planks. Like, you can go on a plank on your elbows and then on your hands, and then you can tap your shoulders, tap your knees, tap your hips.
Intensifying things.
Get into a burpee. This is the time
making things faster.
This is the time where everyone needs to be creative and resourceful.
Yeah. So what's equipment that they can use at home from their home, like objects?
Home objects?
Yeah, like stuff that they have at home already.
I'm just joking. I'm just teasing her. So personally, I like to use a backpack. Like, you can use that as like a weight vest almost. You can use chairs. Like,
you can even like press the backpack.
Yeah, you can press a
head.
backpack, and you can use it as, if you got a good backpack, you can use it as like a ball slam, or you can even use it as like a kettlebell swinger.
Yeah, kettlebell swinger. You can do cleans with them.
Yeah, you can do cleans. You can do with the chairs I mentioned earlier. You can do dips with those. You can put your feet up on there to do incline push-ups once you get better at doing push-ups.
If you have empty like milk jugs, you can fill them up with water and use them as weights.
Exactly.
And you can fill them up to a point where they're heavy enough for you.
Yeah, and you can use your couch to kind of do Bulgarian split squats if you guys don't know what that is. Yeah, if you don't know what that is, it's like, so when you put one of your legs on the couch and then you do a lunge.
Yeah.
Which like,
just look it up. Look it up on YouTube.
Look it up. Be resourceful. You'll find it. Bulgarian split squat. That's what it's called.
Yeah, you can do dips, tricep dips. There's so much. And if you guys aren't being resourceful right now, you guys are just using this as an excuse for you to not do anything.
Exactly, right? Like,
that's all it is.
Like, even before this, like, time, like, this goes to show that time is not your issue. Like, oh, I don't have time. I think that's just a whole...
That's a whole nother
That's
excuse.
A big bag of bullshit.
Right, yeah, because you're just trying to make yourself feel better for not doing something.
Like, we're not trying to be mean. We're just being real here. Because we've used these excuses before too. Oh, I don't have time, or I don't have equipment. I don't have the resources. Like, everything is there. If you have the will, if you're committed, you'll find a way.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, Not much has changed for us in this past week other than like just adjusting. And I think everyone's slowly now adjusting.
Yeah.
Like there are still changes happening on around us. Like parks have closed, so we can't use parks anymore. They're really strict on like the whole social distancing. But I feel like this has also made us connect so much more to some people that we aren't connected. Like we're connecting with my sister in Japan, who's in Japan now, like every single day.
Almost
and
every
before
day.
we used to never do that.
Yeah.
Like my parents would connect with her on a weekly basis, but now we're connecting with her and we're playing Jackbox actually.
Yeah. Shout out to Jackbox, shout out to Zoom, shout out to House Party for providing all these online services to keep us connected with our families and friends. But yeah, it's been great.
I took up trying to make bubble tea. That was interesting.
Yeah.
8 fails and I finally achieved it.
Yeah.
The consistency.
See,
and
there's a lesson to that. Like when you want to do something, you'll fail. Like you'll fail no matter what. It's like the reason why you fail is because you have to learn from it, right? It's a lesson. But if you're able to see past that, then your 8th try was like amazing.
Yeah.
Like the bubble tea was, you can tell it was fresh. And it's actually not that hard to make. Except for the rolling
legit
part.
3 ingredients.
Except for the rolling part.
Yeah, and then just staying beside the pot while it's cooking. And standing for a little while. But
so what was it? What was it, like tapioca flour and like brown
sugar and water. Boiled water.
And then you just kind of turn it into this like dough. It's a little bit harder than a regular dough.
It's almost like you're working with clay. So Play-Doh is really, really soft, right?
Yeah.
And then clay is a little bit more like you gotta knead it and like work through it.
And then you just have to like, it's
you gotta
easy.
roll them.
It's just tedious work. Like you have to make the little balls, but I found a really good.
So I think this weekend
way.
we might make like a bigger batch.
Yeah.
And then have them saved because you can freeze them.
Yeah.
Have them saved and then just use them for after when we want to drink some bubble tea. But it was amazing. Like it tasted really, really good. So one thing that proved for me though is that I'm really persistent now. Mm-hmm. But I never used to be like that. If I were to try and do that 2 years ago before this business, I would have quit. I was just thinking about that like yesterday or the day before yesterday when I made the bubble tea.
Yeah.
And I was just saying how like it took me 8 tries to actually get it.
Yeah.
And in my head the whole time I kept thinking like, no, I can figure this out. Like I can figure this out. And I kept saying that. It's not like that I didn't want to fail. It's that I just kept thinking I can figure this out. And I think I've built that mentality through the business.
Yeah.
Which was so cool. Because I haven't yet seen the skills I've developed in the business show. Yeah. But it showed then.
And you have, that just goes to show like how bad you really want something, right? If you want it bad. Like all these they sound so silly, like making bubble tea and like I have another story after. But like there's a lesson to these small things, right? Like she was so persistent, like, no, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to do it. And then when she did it was amazing. For me, it was like trying to set up Jackbox so we can play with our friends online. And my issue was trying to find a really good angle where I can point a laptop or like the iPad so the people watching it can see it properly. So I was persistent with that, like trying to connect it to all kinds of like devices and stuff. But eventually I found my way, and then voila, I got a masterpiece and I can connect and have fun with people all over the world now.
Yeah, but it was nice. Like I think that's another episode I guess we could talk about, is just like how much we've developed through our business. I think we can talk about that in another episode.
Yeah.
Because that's also another cool thing. Like we've grown so much through our business, and I don't think we realize that much, but it's been almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Of owning our business, and it's been a lot of ups and downs, and it's made us so much stronger. And that's what I wanted to emphasize, is that like when I was making the bubble tea, I was upset, but I wasn't broken by it.
Yeah.
I just knew I can get around it.
Yeah.
And I would normally have been really upset and just given up because I would think that's just not for me.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, there's other people succeeding. Why can't I? Like,
yeah. That's how you build character.
Yeah.
You build like, that's when you build, it's not discipline. I think it's just courage, I guess. You build courage, the belief
and
in
belief in yourself.
Because even though she failed, she was like, oh, but I'm like, I know I'm there. Like, I know I'm close. I know I'm on the right path. Right? So that's that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just trial and error. And I guess it also just reminded me, like, even with our business, when we're making ads and stuff, like, it's going to be trial and error.
Yeah.
And that's something I've been having so much difficulty with lately is the ads. Like, they frustrate me so much. But I think if I compare ads to bubble tea, it'll just make me feel better because I know that I'm gonna have to test one type of ad, then test another type of ad, and then keep testing, and eventually I'll find the right ratio of copy and ad and all of that type of stuff that goes into ads because there's a shit ton.
Oh my god, can you imagine?
So
she's making her ads just like going on like on her computer, and then she's like, oh man, this is so frustrating. Bubble tea. Think about bubble tea. Bubble tea. Remember how I didn't give up making bubble tea?
Yeah.
Bubble tea is my inspiration.
Yeah, right now. But I just thought it was cool, and I'm sure that other business owners go through the same thing. Not with bubble tea, but like in terms of other things. They see it apply to other areas of our lives, and it's been cool to actually apply something from business into another area of our life. Yeah,
and I think that's the reason why, like, whenever you have a goal and you try to strive for it, you try to go for it, you hit a wall. Automatically. It usually happens, like, when I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do this, and then I do something and it doesn't go well. And then I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is not supposed to be happening. But those things are there for you to learn, and so you can build the right habits, build the right characteristics of the person that you want to become, because ultimately, like, you're trying to become something, you're trying to become someone in order to create a certain result.
They happen for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? It's testing you, and it's, like you said, it's building your character. Yeah. It's, it's making you change your route.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're supposed to go.
And that's like, and these problems, these obstacles are going to keep showing up until you learn something from them.
Yeah, that's like us when we finally decided to buy groceries, and then our parents decided to start making more food, and we're like, what the hell?
Yeah, we're like, oh, you know what? Like, our parents' food is just lacking a lot of nutrients, like specifically protein. So we were like, you know what? We'll just like buy our own protein. We'll buy like chicken thighs. We said chicken thighs. It's much more juicier, much more tastier. Chicken thighs, we'll buy like turkey bacon. And then once we start buying those, all of a sudden our parents start cooking more protein, and they start buying the same stuff we buy. And we're like, what the heck? This is like, the universe is helping us buy protein.
yeah, seriously. And I think, I don't know what to say anymore.
I think that's it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed our little
bubble tea connection at the end.
We're just trying to give you guys some content, give you guys something to work on, some little tips and tricks, and it's not because you're not disciplined, it's not because you're lazy, but there are some ways you can work around this. You just have to be willing and be committed to it.
Yes, so if you guys forget what habit stacking is, just look it up. It will help you tremendously. Please leave a review, guys. Please rate us. Let us know how we're doing.
Let us know
if it's
anything.
On YouTube, give us a comment, give us a thumbs up so we know that we're doing well. And leave us questions that you guys have that we can lead into with in the next episode. Or if there's anyone that you think would be a good person to interview.
Yeah.
Because we might get close to that soon. I already have a list of a couple of people. I don't know about you.
And anyone you think that might find this video beneficial, just like
share it with them. But thank you so much for being on this episode with us of NORI Athletics Lifestyle. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Ciao.